Ready to rock out every Thursday night on Pharcyde TV. We are so looking forward to being part of the fam. Shout out to Pharcyde TV for hosting Champagne and Conversations. You guys got to check it out. What's up, journalists? Well, I'm going to call you Sin-Seer. Is that okay? We're not going to say the whole thing.
That's perfect. That's perfect for today's conversation.
Yes, welcome to Champagne and Conversations.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's very nice to finally meet you.
Absolutely, virtually. Yes, we have to cheers to our 22 conversation. Yes, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. How's it going so far?
I'm going to tell you, I've waited for this all day. I needed this. And it was in the freezer, so it's like super cold and super good.
No
So
doubt.
yes, thank you. Yeah, get comfortable. We're gonna have a good time. I
Sounds
do
good.
appreciate you taking time to talk. And guys, we have journalist Sin-Seer. He is a pioneer, a vet, a hip hop guru in this field, and has been really, really moving about on the Instagram side of things with your interviews and such. And I just thought that it would be awesome for us to just have a little camaraderie today and
Absolutely.
exchange some stories and get ready for 22 and, you know, see where we are, especially since we're still kind of quarantined, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. Got to be safe out here.
Absolutely. Yes. So how's everything before we get started? I always like to do the check, make certain everybody's good, your family's good, you've been
Yeah,
well. Okay.
everybody's doing well so far. No COVID in the family.
Awesome.
Everybody's healthy going into the new year. My parents, are working on their 50th anniversary. So everything is good.
Cheers, mom and dad. Yes. I think my parents are I think they're 48, so they got a couple more years to go. But yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations on that. Are you planning something big for them?
Quite possibly. Got to see, before you make any plans, you got to go and see what the regulations are, how many people.
Right.
Such a process now. So we'll, play by ear and see how it plays out.
Yep, absolutely. Be safe. They may have to do a little small one like they in the backyard, like they used to tell us. Do something in the backyard and then
Right.
spread out, 51, just do the extension,
Right.
just to be safe. So absolutely. Congratulations on that. And
Right.
yeah, so I do want to start off with some big conversation about our 21. I would love to get your take on hip hop as it has been within the 21, where we've all kind of been bit quarantined and, some still moving around, producing albums and that. But I wanted to see what you had to say, highlights of 21.
21, I got to continue doing my interviews, which I started in 2020 because of the COVID. I mean, I was doing interviews well before, COVID, but COVID really made things snowball. Everybody's locked in their house. Everybody's wanting to talk. And from that, my first interview during 2020, that was pretty big over Instagram Live, was Danny Boy from House of Pain.
Okay.
So from there, it just, like I said, snowballed. And up to this point, I'm up to about 200 Instagram Live interviews.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
But
okay.
Yeah, so highlights for 2021 was just slowly getting back into the groove because, we couldn't really go out because of the regulations. Are you
Yep.
vaccinated? So, I went and got all my shots, slowly made my way back into the concert scene, which is,
Yep.
one of my favorites. But I had to be really cautious,
Right.
didn't know what to expect. So probably around March, April is when I got back out. From there, just
What was your
started.
favorite concert of 21?
Traveled all the way to the Bronx by car, 12 hours, and saw KRS-One tear it down.
Okay. Oh,
Uh,
you went to the verses?
no, they had a concert series in New York where they had a concert in every borough for like a week. So first
Uh-huh.
day was in the Bronx. Second was Staten Island. They went to
Yeah.
Queens.
Yeah.
Uh, all over it. So I got to do at least 3 days out there. So went to Staten Island, went to the Bronx,
Nice.
but in between then got to travel to, Queens, Manhattan, all that. So that would probably be my highlight, just seeing KRS-One in the Bronx, chanting South, South Bronx. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, what did you think about the verses KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane?
Loved absolutely every minute of it.
Absolutely, right?
Kane looked in tip top shape.
Yeah.
KRS-One. So, toe for toe, we were kind of on the edge about did Kane have enough joints to go against KRS-One, and he had more than enough, and it was a good look for the culture.
Yep, absolutely. Any other highlights that's I don't want to influence your highlights, so I'm just kind of moving through for you to give us your top five, I guess.
Top
Music
five
even.
music. I got to interview the legendary King Son. For those who may not know, he was signed to Profile Records in the early
Okay.
90s. And from
Hmm.
that, we established a relationship, and I was able to fly out to Virginia and visit
Shout
for
out
a
to
weekend.
Virginia.
Shout out to
Yes. Uh-huh.
DA. And from that
Yeah.
point, I became his manager.
Oh, congrats.
So,
Look at
yeah,
you making moves in the quarantine. Okay.
absolutely. So, looking to do some things, get him back to where he needs to be at.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
dope.
like I said, also went out to the Bronx for the KRS-One show. That's a highlight. Traveled to Chicago, where MC by the name of Gravity is from. Kanye West produced his first album before Kanye was
Okay.
Kanye. So that's where Kanye
Before
got his jump
Kanye was
start out.
yay.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah.
I got to sit down with him and talk about his 25th anniversary. His album turned 25. That was a
Okay.
highlight. Flying out to LA to hang out with my big brother for a minute. Booty Brown, you had on your show.
Okay. Shout out to Booty Brown. Yes, Pharcyde. And we're on Pharcyde TV, so you'll be over there soon as well with these encore shows. Yes.
Yeah. So I was out there for a
Okay.
moment hanging with him. Kind of consider him a mentor at this point.
Oh,
Very,
nice. Okay.
very down to earth individual. Just a great guy to be around. Also started up a podcast this year called Changing of the Hip Hop Guards with my
Okay.
partner, Uncle E. He is from the Get Yours posse. That's MF Doom's first crew before he was
Nice.
MF Doom. He was, Zev Love X before third base, all that.
Look at him. He's
So,
giving us history, guys. Okay. Yes,
and
go for it.
from that point on recently, those guys allowed me to come and be a member of the Get Yours posse. So even though I wasn't there from the beginning, they're allowing me to join now and help.
Inducted in.
Yeah. So I would say
Cool.
those are my top five moments
Well,
of
you did it.
2021.
Congratulations. Now, did you have any of those on your bucket list? Was that any thoughts, expectations, intentions, any of it? Not at all.
No, my intentions for 2021 was to get out there and do as much as I possibly can before they close the world down again. because that moment when we were locked in, it was like, man, I'm glad I got to do what I did. But if we ever get an opportunity to get back out there, I'm going hard.
You're going
And
hard.
from there, I went to New York, LA, Virginia, Chicago, traveled to Atlanta to see the Dog Pound and Capone and Noriega. Actually, Capone and Daz have a joint album together, so I got to go to the studio and do a review. That was like out the gate at the top of last year. So it was just a
That's
snowball
dope.
effect. Any opportunity that presented itself, I just went
Took
for
it.
it. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what did you think about the concert? Well, I call it the concert of the year because that would be my take. But Kanye and Drake.
Um, I'm not sure what to think. You know what I mean? Like those.
Really?
Yeah, I mean those guys. They should have never had a issue to begin with. So for them to have to come together for a in the beef concert, you know what I mean? Like, and it probably should have been. It was like an hour, right?
Oh no, it was like 3 hours. It might have been an hour late, but after it
Okay,
started, it was like 3 hours, and it was to me, it was amazing. So I guess that's where we would have a great kind of combining notes with our closeout. But
right,
yeah, it was dope to me because to me it was Kanye. And so anything of the graduation album or anything previous, it was just
right.
so dope to just watch him. It was not any, it was good to me. It was just really good. Really, really, really,
A-
really
After that concert, I really like how Kanye's moving now. So it seems like he's kind of
Absolutely. Me
he's
too. He's
he's
become a cool kid, right?
yeah, he's back to the Ye that
He's
I
back to
grew
the
up.
Kanye. I don't know about the Ye.
Yeah. So that concert
Yes.
was, I think, a spark into him.
Yes,
You
I
know,
agree. I agree. I think that yes, because I just saw that he's now going to headline Coachella, and right, he's now back, kind of chilling with the fellas and doing his whole thing. So I like that. I like that a lot. And I do
absolutely.
agree with you on that part. So now, as I was telling you before we got started, and guys, if anyone is just joining us, we are having a conversation, but this is journalist Sin-Seer, and he has
Hello.
a show on Instagram Live, and you're live on Tuesday nights.
It's just spontaneous. I usually work
Okay,
around the artist. Whenever they're available, I'll make it happen. I
no
mean,
doubt.
yeah, you can't just go, oh, I'm busy. It's like if they want to make it happen, you better jump on it because you may not get another opportunity.
That's right. That's the life of the journalist, right? So we're calling this week journalist empowerment because we were just having conversations, swapping notes, and getting some energy to start our 2020. But also you have and your show is titled History Lessons.
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yes, I love it. And as you all see why, because he was just giving us the origin of this and that as he was charting through his 2021 recap. So, yeah, super dope. We do appreciate you joining us. And also, while we're doing that, go ahead and share your Instagram and all your social media so that they can follow you and find your story.
So yeah, I'm at the journalist Sin-Seer, and that's spelled Sinseer. Also, just launched a podcast with my partner Uncle E. That's Changing of
Yay.
the Hip Hop Guards. That's also on Instagram, and you can find a lot of great content over that way. Learn a lot from some of the interviews I've conducted over the past year or two.
Yeah. So with that being said, what would be your best of, and you can do both years since we've kind of been in this situation for 2 years now, 2020 and 21. What is your like most favorite, if you can pick one, of your conversations or your interviews?
Oh man, I would probably say probably Dress from Black Sheep.
Okay, shout out to
Because
Jazz. Yes. Uh-huh.
it's because he had a kind of a rift with his partner, and I don't usually go down the beef conversations, what happened. I
Right.
just kind of focus on the highlights and the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
But he went into that on his own, and what turned out to be, was supposed to be maybe an hour interview, ended up being a 2 hour interview.
Okay.
He just poured his heart out basically. And that's why I think that one really stands out the most. When they kind of go down a road that maybe you thought they didn't want to go on their
Yeah.
own and give you all of them. So yeah, that was probably one of my highlights. I mean, but I've got several.
Yeah,
Each
go tell us
one.
some more. We got time.
All right. Let's say Busy Bee, who was in Wild
Yeah.
Style.
Yeah.
Just for a guy like him to acknowledge me, like I said, he was there from the beginning. So to be able to go back and talk to, guys like him, Mixmaster Ice from UTFO, to give us all those good Kango
Yeah.
Kid, rest in peace stories.
Rest in peace, Kango. Right. Yes. 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 And I was begging for Kango to come on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was begging for him too. And at the time he was busy, and then unfortunately he got sick. So yes, I was in queue, to do that. But I'm glad that he was, he was able to see that he was so much love was given to him before his passing. It wasn't
Right.
something that he didn't go and not know that we all just thought he was amazing. And so that felt good.
Another one of my highlights is Ricky Powell. Do you know who that
Okay.
is?
No.
Uh, Photographer. He went on like the first Beastie Boys tour with him and Run DMC.
So
So, back in the days, he kind of became a photographer by accident, and he
okay.
snapped, Basquiat and Warhol and
Oh, my man. Okay.
all of those guys, and kind of accidentally found himself on tour with Beastie Boys and Run DMC during the Raising Hell tour, and kind of became the unofficial fourth Beastie Boy. So
So cool. I love Beastie Boys. Oh my goodness. I love them.
I got to interview him, and
Okay.
unfortunately, he passed away the next, probably 3 months later on my
Are you
birthday.
serious? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow.
So that
So
was,
so you got a legendary story, huh?
oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay.
it's imperative to give these people their flowers while they're still
Yes.
here
Absolutely.
and before they pass away, because I was told that these people are like, libraries full of information.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
So
Well, we know that.
So we have to get that information before it's too late. So, I
Yes.
urge people to, tap into that and get
Tap
all those
into it.
stories out. Yeah, for sure.
So who's on your wish list?
Wish list would top of my wish list would be LL Cool J.
Okay.
Just because I think he's the GOAT. Will Smith as
I didn't
well.
even have to ask you why. I get it. I get it. Look, I'll let you put it in the universe, and it'll just stay there. And then you'll call and say, "Guess who I'm interviewing?"
Will
So
Smith, Will Smith as
yeah.
well.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
those are my wish list guys right there.
Oh, good for you. Okay. So now we were kind of having a little back conversation, guys, behind the scenes, and talking about how we prepare for these conversations. As I like to just say that we're sitting here and we're just kind of relaxing, have a conversation. It is a lot of production that goes into it. So tell us what it kind of entails for you to prepare for a show. Because are you doing all of it, or do you have a staff that works with you?
It's all me. But
Let's cheers to that. I may have to pour a
yeah,
little bit
but
more to that.
the great thing about Instagram is that there'll be people that inbox you with tidbits. Hey, ask them this, or
Oh, okay.
and they'll
Okay.
share an article you may not have known that was out there. So I got like an invisible squad out there of individuals that kind of lead me. Not always, but they'll give me some ammunition,
Yeah.
that maybe will catch the artist
Some
off
nosy
guard.
notes.
Yeah. So it's all about, reading as much as I can,
Yeah.
YouTube videos, magazines. But most importantly, these are artists that I really enjoy. So I'm not really going into the interview blind. Like I've got to go from scratch and learn about this
Right.
artist. I've already got pretty much everything built that I want to ask, but there's always those little questions that, get them really, into the interview that, they may not have known you even know, or,
Yeah.
you may have forgotten. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Your
usually,
favorite your favorite take that you always do when you're doing your interviews is take us back to and then wherever you want to walk to. I love that part when you say that. I think I was saying that to you when we were talking. But so when you say take us back, that's really digging deep. And one of our other journalist peers, as I stated to you, TL, he likes to get deep into conversations. Like he really tells the story on how the origin of everyone connected and how it kind of began. And for me, I'm more on this side of things where we loved you then. What are you doing now? So I want to
gotcha.
touch, from where we are moving forward. But I do notice that you too have, the history piece in position. So when you take us back, what are you often looking for? Is it, obviously we said we don't typically want to go into the beef of anything, but you look into what maybe, how they developed a song, or what are you kind of looking for when you're going into the history part of history lessons?
Right. I'm looking for all the information that we didn't get then. You often was
That's everything.
presented,
That's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
you were often presented the masterpiece, but you never knew exactly the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Didn't know how hard it was or how many labels they had to go to before they landed at Jive Records or Elektra Records. You
Right.
know, you didn't realize the credit that they didn't get, or the money that they didn't get, or was a part of this and didn't get acknowledged. There's just so many
It's so much. Right.
stories, and even though it looked successful to us, a lot of those guys, didn't get compensated for those albums. And the backstory, after those albums, it's not always pretty. We often think those artists are doing well. They sold millions of records, and it's just quite the opposite. Some end up homeless, um, you know, getting a bad taste in their mouth from the industry. And
Yeah.
that's why a lot of our heroes only ended up with one or two albums, being cut from the label. How did they bounce back? So I just want to know everything, because as you probably know, only thing we really had was like Ride On Magazine, Fresh Magazine. It didn't only gave you
Word Up.
just
Wasn't that a
Word Up,
magazine? Yeah.
Word Up. So
Word
it
Up
only,
then. Yeah, we used to tear the middle out for the poster.
so it only gave us just a smidgen
Yeah, they
of,
gave us, yeah, just that was the glory of what was happening. Yes.
right.
I don't think that honestly until like when Source came out,
Exactly,
then
exactly.
we started to get really the kind of gritty of what was going on. If there was some internal beef within the label or with the artist or, something of that sort, it was becoming more exposed to that. And shout out to P. Frank Williams from Source, and we also know Eric Parker and Usman and Soren Baker and all the greats that have. Did you work at Source also? Because it's so
I did
many.
not. I did
Okay.
not. Dave Mays as
Okay.
well. Dave Mays, I've interviewed him,
Yeah.
and got some great stories.
Oh yeah,
From the
absolutely. Yeah, a lot of folks over there that were able to really tune in and kind of tap into the artists kind of behind the scenes, like, what we're talking about, and get some of that stuff that we
right.
wouldn't have known about in Word Up. Or even Fab Five Freddy. I think he did a great job
Oh yeah,
with Yo MTV Raps when he would really
exactly.
sit down and
Because I don't know about you, but we didn't get like the video box around here, so we didn't get to see like that early '80s.
yeah,
Being in the Midwest, we didn't really get to see what we wanted to see until like
right.
88, 89. So like the
I
Source
think
came
I
out.
remember it. I think I remember it was on maybe one of the like cable channels or something. Yeah, I think so.
Not
I
sure if it
don't
was
know which one.
not sure if it's mainly an East Coast thing, but I know we didn't get it around here. So we
I'm
had to
sorry.
dig and search.
Yeah, you need a Hulu.
Exactly.
Then to be able to play it the next day. Yeah, I do. I think so. But at any rate, you're right in terms of really kind of getting to that. And the stories that we hear now are compelling, of course, because these are the ones that we, as I say, lean in or we enjoyed growing up. And, we are so excited to be able to talk to them to hear the story like DOS Effects went to school here in Virginia. So every party DOS Effects was there. And so to be able to even talk to them and, see what they have going on and even hear some of the stories from before,
Right.
it's just amazing. It's just amazing to be able to do it, which was why I was so excited to talk to you because you've been able to share in those stories as well. And look, it
Right.
would be even funny to be able to compare notes like, what did you get? What did you get? Did we even get the same stories? Because I'm sure it's so much that they have to tell, in
Right.
such a small period of time. But with that,
Right.
how do you select the guests that you have on? Do you do it kind of by region or like West Coast, East Coast theme it? What do you do?
It's more of a criteria. You have to have been in the game for at least 20 years.
Or you have a
So
qualifying criteria over there.
yeah,
Oh,
you gotta be
fancy. Okay.
20 plus years. I think
Okay.
that, mainly just, people I looked up to and just wanted to hear their stories. So it's not really strictly East Coast or,
Yeah.
I've had West Coast, I've had, down South, Midwest.
Sure.
So I just, I'm trying to get it all, and for the newer artists, I also have a platform called PupUp, people you should hear about. And that's for the newer artists because I know a lot of them were reaching out and saying, "Hey, let me get on history lessons." So I'm like, "Wow, you've only been in the game for 3 months.
You don't meet the criteria.
You don't quite
So
meet the
what's the
criteria."
push it? What's the pusher criteria? They have to have one
just
single.
to,
What is it?
just giving them a voice and a push.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
they don't have to have an album. It's just
Okay.
outlet for them to reach a broader audience. And also I gotta like the music. I can't just co-sign whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Now, as you talk about that, with your qualifying criteria and such, how long have you been in this industry? Well, interviewing, journalism, how long have you been doing this?
I would say since '94,
Wow. Okay.
and that was just this is all independent. This is
Mm-hmm.
me going into the nightclub with the big held head camera. Remember those?
Um,
And
kind of, not really. I was just gonna say, okay. I only remember the kind that we had to throw in a bag and drop off at
uh
the CVS to get your pictures done. So no, I
gotcha.
don't really remember, but you had okay. You had some
Yeah.
equipment. Mm-hmm.
So, and that was sneaking cameras in because I don't know if you remember, but back in the days, concerts were kind of outlawed when to have a camera or any type of. Remember, the ticket stub would say no cameras, or so. This is trying to sneak whatever I could in to grab those moments, whether interviews or pictures. But I could trace it back to 1994.
Okay. Now, have you written a book or have you done any kind of recap with all of the material and such that you have from 94 now?
No, it's still in the progress. I think I'm still not quite where I need to be, but be on the lookout because
Yeah.
I've got a great story to tell when the time is right. But just waiting on the perfect opportunity and to present it from day one up until this point. So definitely in the works. Definitely something I'm looking forward to doing.
So, do you remember your first concert or your first interview? I know that would be really digging deep, but do you remember?
Okay, my first hip hop concert. My parents took me to see EU. Biz
Ah,
Markie,
do it in the back. Okay.
EPMD, and Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock in 1988.
Where was that?
That was at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And if I'm going to go ahead and put my age out there, I was 14.
Nice. Okay. Isn't it funny how our parents had to take us? Because my parents took me to my first concert, which was Michael Jackson. So yeah, it's like
What
that was
tour?
probably
What tour was that?
well, I was. Look, I was really small, but that was the off the wall tour. We were young. Actually, it was
Oh,
the Jackson Five still together at that point.
okay.
But yeah, I was a little tiny girl, and funny enough, we had a flat tire on the side of the road, and of course, there's no phones or anything, so there's like a truck driver to stop to help, and I was like, listen, I am going to hitchhike. If you all don't hurry up and get us to this concert, I've got to get there. So
Out of all days.
all days that we've got to get. Well, it was Michael. Yeah, Michael was the one, but I know that his brothers were there also for that one. But yeah, it was just like very early on. But I was such a Michael Jackson fan. I mean, all up to like the jacket, the glove, the everything,
As
whatever it was,
as we
buttons,
all were. We were all Michael Jackson
everything.
fans.
It was like it had to happen. So. Um, yeah, that was definitely that. But it's funny how our parents had to take us to the concerts now. We
Oh
probably
yeah.
should be taking kids to the concerts that they go to at this point, but that's another story.
Yeah, as you can see, with like Travis Scott
Oh
situation.
man,
So it's just, and I've noticed that I take my niece and nephews, they're older
okay,
now, but I take them to concerts maybe that I didn't want to attend, but
sure.
just to take them, and the crowd is just different. Like you got to be off to the side somewhere. You can't be in the middle because it's just pure pandemonium. So,
No, I wonder what that is. I just, and it's so sad on what happened with the Astro World concert and just I don't recall like attending something where you would be trampled or where you would have your life compromised at an event like that. I mean, passing out because you're so excited, we did see that, but nothing where you thought this would be the end of my life.
right.
So I don't know, but I think, you know, coupling that with those drugs and things like that people sneak in, I
Absolutely.
think that's kind of enhancing those situations. It has to
Right.
be. It
Right.
just can't be just
And
kids out of control.
I'm not sure if overcrowding was an issue as well, but
I thought security was an issue because I'm thinking, when you're able to run your own and the mandates aren't necessarily enforced, then people, because it's supposed to be like one security per every, I don't know, in a club it's like 25 or 50 people or something, one security per. But for this type of event, I think that it wasn't enough.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
in
Definitely.
addition to some other things that I think kind of got past, the important people. And
Right.
so here we are. But yeah, it's unfortunate. And I guess we didn't highlight that as a 21 event, but that was definitely an event of 21 that was just so um, disheartening, especially because everyone was, waiting to get out and excited about kind of coming out of the whole
Right.
quarantine. And then you get into that situation, which I think was another issue, people moving too fast,
Well,
that
everybody's trying to make up that money that was missed out. So they're doing whatever, as fast as they can before we have to go into another lockdown. So, I think the first sight of that was Lollapalooza in Chicago. If you would have seen those crowds, I mean, it was just, you know,
and that was
people.
last year.
Yeah, Lollapalooza last year because
Okay.
they missed out on having Lollapalooza in
Right.
2020. So, they felt their pockets hurting. So let's cram as many people in. We're going to do it before they shut us down. And it was just
Wow.
people on top of people. And it was just, everybody's trying to get the money grab before,
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
not worth it when you end up with these scenarios. I mean, because obviously, whatever money Travis Scott has made at this point, look what's going to happen
yeah.
potentially.
And moving forward, probably no more Astro Worlds.
I was thinking that there's going to be limited concerts at some point, just because there have been so many tragedies with just, not only his, but then we had a couple other ones where people were, getting shot and, so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, I think they're going to have to calm down the concerts until people can staff them properly, and be able to search and, all the things that we used to do. I think people were cutting corners, like you said, because they're so eager to get, that dollar, but it's not worth it.
Right.
You're not
Right.
sure what's going to happen. So anyway, 2022, what do you have planned for 22? Any hot items that we can have the exclusive on? Any interviews we can look forward to? I'm
Just
trying,
pushing,
guys.
just pushing the brand as far as I can. Like I said, the Changing of the Hip Hop Guards podcast, we're going to have some great things happening on there. A lot of 30th and 25th anniversaries are this year, so I plan
Yeah,
on having a lot
yeah.
of special surprises. You have to stay tuned to see who's coming on.
Oh,
I
surprises. We
know.
love those. It's fun. It's fun. Yes, yes. Everyone has to have a surprise. Yes.
Right. At some point, I would also like to do a little gallery, a little museum of artifacts, maybe a little traveling pop-up shop type situation.
Okay.
So everything's in the works. We got big plans for 2022 with a lot of surprises as well. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Now you mentioned your um the art, and I'm looking behind you, and you're not sitting in front of the toy wall that you normally are. Where is the wall? I want to see the wall.
The wall is in the other room.
You don't
So
have to dress up for us. We want to see the
yeah, I
wall.
don't think the cider and the shirt and the toys would kind of go together. So I tried to make it
He
so.
didn't have to
So
get
you know what?
fancy for
You
us,
know what?
guys.
For the recap, we'll do the wall.
Yes, yes, yes. So we can take it serious at that point. Absolutely. But guys, he has a wall and it's really cute. And it has, or cool, not cute. It's cool. But it has like, well, tell us, what do you have on that? What do you have behind you?
I have
Collectibles, I guess.
just a lot of collectibles throughout
Yeah,
the years. A
yeah,
lot of promo items, a lot of hard to find pieces,
yeah.
statues, all that good stuff that I got tired of putting in the closet and collecting dust. So I decided to display everything.
Where do you get
Uh,
them? Are you out getting them at events and such, or like Art Basel, or where are you collecting them?
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay.
I can date back to getting things like 1990. So I don't know if you remember just walking in the record stores and there'd be free items on the counter, whether it be stickers or
Not free, but I do remember items. Yes.
yeah. So I mean, I'm just a pack rat that it turned out to be a cool hobby. So looking back, some 30 plus years of collecting, whether it be online, record stores,
Yeah.
friends, all over. So 30 years of collecting.
Nice. And then you say you're going to do a pop-up. That's going to be fun to be able to take those things out and be able to display them, or I guess if you're going to trade or sell, that would be,
Yeah, everything's in the works. Good conversation pieces.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I always like to look at the things because Kwame also has like a lot of, collectibles and such when he plays on his live. So I was like, oh, look at the I don't know if they're robots or they transformers or what what
Yeah,
happened back there.
he's a hardcore collector as well as Biz Marquis was as well.
Oh, rest in peace, Biz.
Yeah, so it's almost like our Bitcoins, so to speak. Just
Oh,
kind of
wow.
pay whatever and see what happens the longer you sit on them. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess at that point, is there a trading site for stuff like that? I know that, I mean, there's a traditional eBay and such, but
right.
is there a
Uh,
market for that?
I just do, friends, people I trust, but I'm not sure if there's like a trading site. I
Okay.
do the eBay, the Amazons, but as far as
Yeah.
trading, I'm not sure, but I'm
Yeah.
highly interested.
Yeah. You may have to research that before you take your show on the road. You can start with your online service and see, see how it fares, how it all turns out for you.
Right.
So now you had an interview on, you didn't mention it as your top, but you said it was. So I just want to ask you, Three Kings, you were really excited
Wow.
about that
Yeah.
interview. So
Yeah.
talk to us about that because I like to tap into the international situation and just really, not just limiting hip hop and that to just, New York or just to LA. So, talk about the Three Kings because I wasn't really familiar with who they were, but you were really excited about it.
Right. The Three Kings Day is a day celebrated in the Latino community on
Yes.
January the 6th. Prince Power Rule surprised us with a track days leading up to that. And I noticed that it had a couple artists that I also grew up listening to, bought their albums the first day they came out in like 94 and 96.
The great
Curious,
time.
yeah, Curious and Chino XL, all Latinos, Puerto Ricans in this hip hop community. But it was a great time to let their voices be heard because they feel like, they haven't got the proper credit. They're often overlooked when it comes to giving out credit in hip hop. So this was kind of their coming out party. They got together on this track. I reached out to I reached out to Prince Power and asked if we can get everybody together. It was kind of iffy, but he made it happen, and it was a magical moment. I don't know if you caught any of the highlights, but it was like
Yeah, I watched it.
friends. It was like
Yeah.
friends who hadn't seen each other in years. It was unscripted, organic. I
And
was
you just
just
kind of sat back and let them do their thing. They were giving each other the big ups or the props, the flowers, and you were just like, oh, this is great. Just keep going. Just run the numbers up. Just keep going.
Yeah, it was just me being the hip hop kid
Yeah.
watching my idols intermingle on my platform.
Yes.
Like, and
Yes.
I can't believe I didn't bring that up as a highlight. I'm glad you noticed that and brought it up
Yes.
because
Yes.
it's
Yes.
definitely a highlight, and I feel like everybody needs to go back and check that out. But it just felt great giving those guys their dues in the game for so long.
Yeah.
Like
No
Prince,
doubt.
yeah, Prince Power's been in the game since 1990. The other two since 94, 96. So it was a great moment.
Yeah, I saw the energy in that, and I thought, yeah, especially when things are impromptu, it's just kind of one of those things surreal, um, where you just like, I just have to go with the moment because you just never know. Not everything can we plan and
Exactly.
put it together. You just never know, and
Exactly.
those are the best times usually.
Exactly. Because I had
That,
everything scripted out, but I'm like, is it going to play out? Are they all going to join at the same time? And then, I just wasn't expecting their reactions because you feel like, oh, these guys see each other every day or whatever. One guy's in California, one guy's in New York. These guys hadn't seen each other in years. And I
wow.
didn't really know all of this going into it.
Yeah.
And you can see their excitement and, you know, all three of them in one place, probably for the first time ever.
That's awesome. That should be a feel good moment for you, especially
Oh,
if you were
absolutely.
able to, have that in your community, in your, on your platform and be able to share in that. So those are the moments that I think are just really priceless when it comes to what we're doing, right? It's just that,
Right.
kind of unscripted, not planned as much as we try. And probably you were going through the list, checking off as they were mentioning things to make certain that you got all the questions answered. But you just never know, you just never know how it goes. But priceless times, whatever it is that they're talking about, they just, talk about one thing, but for people to be able to see the camaraderie, to see, kind of the love and such from the group, I think it's just, I think it's important, especially because now with what we're going through, we're losing so many of our legends, and it's just a time where it's like, let's just come together. I call it kumbaya, but let's just come together,
Right. Right. Time
let's
is
just come
definitely
together and make it
short.
work.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to take it back to with you and tell us some of your like 90s moments. What were your golden era moments that you really enjoyed?
If I can pick a best 10 years, it would be 88 to 98. So just my sister, she's no longer with us, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
she used to bring home all the latest 45s, 12 inches, cassettes.
45s, yes, yes. With the little yellow piece. Oh, that was the best. Did you have the player, the record
Oh
player?
yeah, anything I could play it on. I mean, we had all types of players in the house.
Yes,
Fisher Price
yes.
player, it doesn't
That's
matter.
it.
So
So what did
just
she bring home?
Oh man, Sparky D, UTFO, Run DMC, just
Yeah.
getting that little bit because I was too young to get in the car and go on this journey to find what I was looking for. So she would bring all that stuff home and I would just tape her tapes and, just those moments until, like I said, I was able to go out on my own to concerts. And meet those heroes of mine throughout the
Right.
90s. So just concerts, magazines, UMTV Raps was a big part of my life. Um,
Who are your
just,
favorite 90s groups?
oh, you're putting me on the spot. My favorite 90s groups?
No. Yeah.
Well, there's only one great GOAT group that all these groups can give credit to, and that's Run DMC.
Sure.
So
But
that
they were
that
more 80s than 90s, right?
they did their little stint in the 90s, but yeah.
Yeah.
But 90s group wise, of course, probably the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, okay. All right. They
90
huge group.
De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, Gangstar. The list goes on, but
List goes on and on, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
NWA's. Yeah, that was my time right there. I mean, with music, you can know where you were and what you were doing when certain classic songs came out. Like
No
I don't
doubt.
have that feeling anymore because
I know.
songs now are so microwave. They're good for the moment, but you won't play them
I
next
don't
year.
even listen to today's music. I don't even know,
I,
like,
I'm
I can tell when I get in the car, and my son has the radio on. I'm like, what is this? It's just, there's
it's it,
no,
it's for the moment. It's for the
oh,
moment, and he's not going to like it next year. And there's going to be somebody
yeah,
new next year.
yeah,
You know,
or next month.
you remember when you can get like a tape and play it for like 6 months straight before you could
Till it
even go get it.
pops, or it
Yeah,
twists, and you got to
all
get the
that.
little pencil and, and pull it out strategically and keep
These
on till
kids,
it goes back in there correctly.
these
I'm
kids
like,
never know
oh,
what struggle means. That was struggle. I was like a
oh,
tape surgeon back then. That was the worst thing that could happen.
absolutely. That was the worst, or that little piece break in the middle and it would not even go across for you to play it. You're like trying to go and get the double so you can record it over on a new one before it pops. Oh my goodness. It's just,
I never
the
wanted to
life was
transition.
horrible, right?
I never wanted to transition over to CDs, but it just they sounded better. They were more expensive, but they scratched easy. So it
Yeah,
was almost like a
yeah,
no-win situation. But it was better
yeah.
than fast forwarding the tape, flipping
The
it over.
memories. Right, right. Yeah, I mean, and the music, I guess, to me, it sounded different. Once we got to CDs, of course, because it just felt like, oh, okay, now we've really arrived at this point. If you could get some CDs and you had a CD player, of course,
Oh yeah,
especially if it was portable, you really have arrived.
right,
So you didn't have to worry about putting it in the VHS or putting it in the little tape deck or whatever it was we had to deal with.
right.
But the music to me, I think that because of the art of it, because of, the message, which I don't know that I always understood all of the message. I think I listen to more of the message now, than
Well,
than I did before.
there back then there was more of a variety.
Yeah,
You had your conscience movement, you
yeah,
had your gangster rap, you had fun rap, you had your kid and plays, your digital
yeah,
undergrounds, and
yeah.
nobody sounded alike. There was nobody allowed to look
It
alike
wasn't allowed, right?
or sound alike, and that's what's missing today. I think gatekeepers back then they would tell you that didn't fly, that was whack. You can't look like this, you can't sound like this, and everybody was
Right.
forced to find their identity. And
Sure.
I think that's missing today. Everybody kind of looks alike, using the same producer, using the same words.
It's almost like it's necessary. Like, okay, go use that producer, and you have to sound like this person in order for you to get a deal or be able to justify you getting that million views or whatever it is that you're looking for. I mean,
Right.
because like you say, I mean, I listen to 4 or 5 different ones when my son brings music in. I'm like, they all sound alike. Who is that? I think like from that, maybe like Pop Smoke, it might be a few others, but I found myself going back into Meek Mill, and I was back coming towards our music then at that point. I'm like,
Right.
that other is the same. So, yeah, you're right. Das Facts or, Brand Nubian or Dougie
Yeah.
Fresh, no
Yeah.
one sounded the same. So you
No, you
knew when
could
they
not.
came
You
on,
couldn't look alike. You couldn't dress alike.
right,
It was just no,
right,
no. You know what I mean?
right,
So
right. No, no. Yeah. So yeah, the 90s definitely was the era and time. And you have had the opportunity to be able to interview, several of them as well. So is there an era that you prefer to stay, like 80s or 90s, or you just kind of mix it together?
I loved everything about the 90s.
Okay.
80s was more probably 85 and up for me, but didn't really get into it till maybe 87, 88. But everything about
Yeah.
the 90s, if I can have that here to stay, then it'd definitely be 90s.
Yeah. See, I liked the Furious Five and I liked, Curtis Blow and um, you
But
know,
but even back then, there was only like a song or two
yeah, yeah,
per,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I mean? It
yeah,
wasn't like,
yeah,
if you look back, there's probably 6 albums of rap that came out in 85.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it wasn't a
But it
lot
was our
until
grow
later.
up time.
Right.
Yeah, so it was nice to be able to do it and to get those stories from them. As we were talking before, it's definitely would be the treasures, I guess. We'll put it out there in journalist world, to get their stories are the ones that very often are a little bit more difficult to get. But when you are able to do it, but you had creator on. So you were able to get some information in that time frame from him,
Oh
which was
yeah.
good. I that.
Oh yeah. You know, because we were
Yeah,
all watching the I'm Bad video. We want to know what went on during that time. Like, I mean,
yeah,
that was just the childhood right there.
right,
Watching LL.
absolutely.
So yeah, definitely was the highlight cut creator. And he gave some good stories.
Gave some good stories. Yeah, absolutely. And some information that we didn't know. So yeah, that was good. And even being able to tap, a little bit deeper as you guys do, into, some of the storylines. So I thought that was dope as well. But yeah, I mean, all great things, right? In this pandemic, but you've been doing your series of history lessons before COVID. You didn't just start in the COVID, right?
I would say that was the beginning of it. It initially was called quarantine sessions,
Oh, okay.
and then that
Okay. How
trend
many of
that
those did you do? Are you going to do a little collection of those?
possibly that transition to history lessons because at some point, of course, we wasn't going to be quarantined anymore, so it was kind of silly to say quarantine sessions. So I would say there were probably 20 episodes that before I transitioned to history lessons that made more sense moving into the future because basically that's what they really were.
But listen, I mean, when I started, everything was, COVID related or quarantine related. When I asked a question, I made certain that I addressed that. Because I feel like the kids sitting in class 20 years from now, they're going to be like, there was this pandemic and they were home and they couldn't do anything. And what were people doing? And they'll be able to tap back into, oh, this is what they were doing.
Yeah,
Of course, if anyone is interested in what we're talking about, but just overall, just being able to pull that information. So, they're like, oh my gosh, they weren't working. Industry was down,
yeah,
whatever it is. So,
yeah,
I don't know that you discount the fact that they were called COVID
yeah.
lessons or
Every
whatever.
every one of those episodes, I made sure to dig in deep about COVID. We spent about probably the first 10 minutes. Where were you at when you got told you were going on lockdown?
Right,
What have you
right.
learned about yourself since being locked in? How are you gonna?
Okay, so what was the most interesting of that? Who's learned something that you thought was very intriguing?
Who the person, people?
Yeah, which interview did you find out something that was like, oh wow, they learned this about themselves?
Like I would say Ed OG, they were, he was like, learning to exercise more and love your
Yeah,
family, be around family. Like, that was the moment to really go out and make sure your family was all right and start loving
yeah,
again.
right,
Um, Going into the future, what are you going to do and how are you going to prepare for something like this? We wasn't prepared for what we were
right,
told. So, I think it was a gift and a curse moment. I hate that everybody passed away, but I think it
right,
put everything back to ground zero and allowed a lot of people to see what's important in their life.
right.
So, yeah, I think I learned a lot about everybody I asked that question to. But I think most importantly, the common answer was getting back to loving family.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we have spent an hour with journalist Sin-Seer. He has history lessons on Instagram. We will like to say that it's on Tuesday nights, but it just depends on the availability of our wonderful legends, our wonderful guests. But it has been an amazing time to be able to spend with you. And please, please, please come back. Let's be able to compare some notes and maybe we can
Absolutely.
even connect live once things actually open back up. But I do
Absolutely.
appreciate you taking some time on Champagne and Conversations.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Cheers to you, ladies and gentlemen. Journalist Sincere. Hang with me just a moment. We'll take you out of here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining.